I'm in Wayne Township, Pennsylvania today. This is the memorial for 16-year-old Skylar Neese. This is also where Skylar was murdered, stabbed over 50 times by her two best friends. It happened on July 6th, 2012, and her body was not found for 6 months, discovered January 2013. Now, Skylar was from Star City, West Virginia, about 30 miles from here. But this area right here next to this creek is where the girls would hang out often. And this is ultimately where the two girls brought her to murder her. So you might be asking yourself, why would two girls kill their best friend? I'm going to tell you this twisted story, and I'm going to take you to where Skylar lived and show you where this whole crazy night began. So I wanted to bring you here. This is the apartment complex where Skylar lived with her parents. And it's here where she came home on July 5th, the night of July 5th, after working a shift at Wendy's. She kissed her parents goodnight, went to sleep, or so they thought. But it turns out that she snuck out the window and jumped into a car. And that car can be seen on surveillance video, security cameras. So you can see in the security footage where she runs right down this hill and jumps into a 4-door sedan. So to give you an idea what it looks like on the other side of the building here where they picked her up, the car was right here. Now, I believe that this is her old window because in the one photo that I saw where she has a bench out laying on the ground, you can see a drain, a weird drain, and you can see that drain right here. So I believe that that is the window. Now, the next day, Skylar's dad came home from work and noticed that her door was locked. He thought that was odd. I guess he got inside, noticed that her window was open, the screen was out, her phone charger was still in the room, so she obviously expected to be coming back at some point. When they checked the security camera footage, it was obvious that she got in the car herself. She was not abducted. So they had no idea. There was, at the time, maybe no reason for them to believe that she was in any danger. In fact, once the police were involved, they said she ran away for a while or was out with a guy and that she would most likely be back. But in all actuality, they were on their way to what would become the crime scene. At this time, the authorities didn't know yet, but Skylar had gotten into Sheila Eddy's car, one of her best friends. The two had known each other since second grade, but it was during freshman year that they became close friends. But things didn't start going south with them until they both became friends with a girl named Rachel Schoaf. As good of friends as the three were, it was also extremely toxic. Think of like the movie Mean Girls. Rachel and Sheila started leaving Skylar out of things and picking on her in person and on social media. But as this rift got worse and worse, the three still remained friends for some reason. And June of 2012, Skylar and Sheila spent a week in Myrtle Beach together on vacation and were nonstop arguing. And it was on her return home that Sheila said to Rachel, "Skylar must die." But this idea or plan wasn't exactly new. In fact, Sheila and Rachel had been overheard discussing ways to dispose of a body or saying things like, "We should kill her," almost a year earlier. But all of that talk was just dismissed as jokes. Now, like always with these type of stories, there's always a ton of information. And I'm really just brushing the surface, giving you just the general story of everything, showing you the locations. But if you're interested, there's a lot of information online, and you can really do a lot of research and really get deep into this whole murder. But back at the scene of the crime here. So it's somewhere right in here where Sheila parked her car. I'm assuming it was right here, but there is a pull-off not far away. The girls got out and they were hanging out here. So in the trunk of Sheila's car was what police called a murder kit. It was a shovel, it was a change of clothes for both girls, and bleach. So obviously this was very premeditated. Like I said, they had been planning this for up to a year or so. Now Sheila and Rachel decided on counting to 3, and they were going to start stabbing her with knives that they had hidden in their clothing, in their sweatshirts. Sheila claimed that she couldn't find her lighter. Skylar got up to go to the car and get her lighter, and that was the moment when Sheila and Rachel counted to 3 and started stabbing Skylar. They continued stabbing Skylar until there was no life left in her body. So at that point, they took the shovel. At first, they tried to dig a grave and tried to bury Skylar, but it was too rocky. So they ended up dragging her body right to where this cross is and buried it with brush and sticks and rocks. At that point, they walked over to this creek and cleaned their hands. They spent a couple hours burying Skylar, changing their clothes, cleaning their hands, cleaning the blood off. And then they left. And Skylar's body wasn't discovered here for 6 months. And during those 6 months, Sheila even helped search for Skylar, going door to door. And amazingly, every person who watched that surveillance video did not recognize that that car Skylar was getting into was in fact Sheila's Toyota Camry. In fact, both Sheila and Rachel had been interviewed by authorities, were noted as seeming odd or suspicious, yet the girls remained free. At times even making very obvious tweets and comments of admission, at least in hindsight. However, during the next school year, rumors definitely started to fly around. A lot of the kids believed that Sheila and Rachel definitely had something to do with Skylar's disappearance. And that pressure was starting to build, at least for Rachel. So after suffering a mental breakdown, Rachel met with the police and admitted to killing Skylar and burying or leaving her body, and she told them where it was. Unfortunately, because of the snow in the area, it was a couple weeks before the police could actually locate Skylar's body. It wasn't until January 16th that they found her body here, basically unidentifiable in a very, very shallow grave. And during that confession from Rachel, the police asked her, "Why would you do this to your best friend? Why did you kill her?" And her answer was, "We just didn't like her." Pretty pathetic. So ultimately, Rachel and Sheila were convicted. Sheila, showing no remorse at all, was given life, but with mercy, meaning she is eligible for parole after 15 years under West Virginia law. And Rachel was given a 30-year sentence, and she is eligible for parole in 10 years, which actually is coming up. But Skylar's father vowed to be at every parole hearing to make sure that they are not released anytime soon. So if there's any silver lining to this murder at all, it's the modification to the Amber Alert system. Before this change, it would only kick in if a child was kidnapped. Unfortunately, Skylar left on her own, so there was no Amber Alert system. But this modification now gives an immediate public announcement when any child is deemed missing. And that is called Skylar's Law. You may have heard of it. Thanks for watching.